Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I certainly hope you're doing all right. Hope you've had a good day so far as well. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. And I would like to welcome all of you to another episode of TJ's Topics. And if you haven't already guessed, I am TJ. Certainly is a pleasure to be with you once again. I consider it a joy, an honor, and a privilege to be able to come into your presence on any given occasion. And on this occasion, I have a very intriguing topic, which is mind your own damn business. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the topic of interest for today. And that's exactly what a lot of people out here whom we encounter quite often need to do. They need to learn how to mind their own damn business. Now, you may be wondering what inspired this topic. Well, I'm glad you asked, and I will be happy to tell you. This topic was inspired by some strange sister whom I encountered one day when I was at the public library here in town. It was on a Saturday morning. And I was down there using the computer, just doing what I had to do. And then she came in there and sat right beside me. I was already there. She came in and sat on the computer right next to me. Now, mind you, I was at the library the day before, sitting at the same computer that I was sitting at on that Saturday. And she was sitting on the same computer as she was on that day, the day before as well. So we both went back on the next day, not together, but, just having to be there at the same time. Well, I started to pick up on a weird vibe from her, and she started giving off this unusual energy. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And she was rambling on and on. And at first I thought she was on the phone. But then I started noticing that she was looking over at me. And I'm like, why is she looking at me? I'm not even talking to her, and I'm definitely not listening to whatever she's saying. Well, on that Saturday, when she was at the library and I was there, I was looking at something on the computer. It was actually a local business around here who does home renovations, like bathrooms and kitchens and whatnot. And I was trying to make sure that I had their number saved in my phone. And I did, because I remember I saved it a while back. Well, as I pulled my phone out of my little case on my side to make sure that I had the number in my phone that they had posted on the website to verify that I did have it, she gonna look over at me, talking about, you need to stop doing what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You need to stop that. And I asked her, I said, are you talking to me? She said, yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you know what you're doing. You need to stop that right now. But I'm like, what am I doing? And why is she even talking to me? She doesn't even know me. And I don't know her. Who in the hell is she anyway? And so, to make a long story short, I went on and got up out of there. I wrapped up what I was doing because I wasn't doing that much. I had already completed what I went over there for anyway. And I was just kind of messing around until I got ready to go. But once she came at me like that, I knew it was time for me to go. Because, you can't trust people these days. There are some Looney Tunes out here running around. You don't know what kind of mindset people have. And in some cases, you don't know what they have on them either, So that's why I was very careful not to cross her in any way and to provoke her to anger, because there's no telling what she may have said or perhaps what she may have done. Because women can do things too, It's not just all men who are committing crimes. You got women out here committing crimes too. And I refuse to be the victim of a senseless crime, especially over some stupid mess like that. So, to summarize, I would like to read to you this passage that I found in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 11, and it comes from the New International Version. And it says, "And to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life," which is something that all of us should be trying to lead, by the way. "You should mind your own business." That's the key phrase right there. You should mind your own business and work with your hands just as we told you. Again, that's 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 11 from the New International Version. Now, the Bible tells us to learn how to mind our own business. It tells us that. And in King James, it says, work diligently with your hands. That's what we ought to be doing every day. And if we are doing some kind of work on a daily basis, whether it's on the job or anywhere else, then we do not have time to be inserting ourselves into someone else's affairs. So how is it that some people out here feel like it's their God-given duty to place themselves into the affairs of others, knowing good and well they can't even handle half of the crap they're dealing with? So why in the world would they want to get involved in what we got going on? They need to get somewhere and sit down. Because look, I for one don't have time for that junk, and I'm sure you don't either. So to end this, I just want to tell you, if you're that type of person who likes to get in folks' business, trying to tell folk what they ought to be doing, telling people what they ought to be wearing or what they shouldn't wear, where they ought to live or where they shouldn't live, what they should be driving or what they shouldn't drive, where they ought to work or where they shouldn't work, who they ought to marry or be with and who they shouldn't. I got a little word of advice for you. You need to mind your own damn business. And I'm going to leave it right there. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of TJ's Topics. I greatly appreciate your presence. And be sure to tune in next time, okay? Because when you come back again, we will be in the month of August. 2026 is wrapping up just like that. This is Taryn Jerome Harris reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. Look forward to seeing you again next time. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.